I'm here with Tracy Stone. Tracy, you're going to give us your permission to videotape this
Yes.
conference. In other words, we do have your permission and a full release to use this in marketing and education and other things, right?
Yes.
You're not going to show up in a viral video on the internet doing all kinds of dance moves. I promise you, okay? But what we're trying to do here is gather up information about the protocols and the treatment that you experienced with the protocols from the, can you pronounce the device for the Restorator?
The Zone Respirator.
The Zone Respirator. Now, how long had you had back pain before you were treated with the Zone Respirator?
I had back pain for about 4 years and spent a lot of time going to various chiropractors, surgeons, back surgeons, MRIs done. They were telling me that I had herniated discs and I had some discs with some cuts in them, and that the only way, even the surgeons told me the only way to fix this was surgery, and I just wasn't up for surgery, so I kept trying different chiropractors, different methods, until I had finally found Ryan that had this machine, this piece of equipment that helped retrain your body to align your hips. That was the root cause of the lower back pain. And once we started treating the appropriate thing, not the back, but the base and the zone to bring us, I think the way he put it was back to neutral, then my back started feeling better just using this piece of equipment and these methods.
How many treatments did it take before you started feeling like you were going in the right direction?
Within the first week, I really felt really good that it was something solid. I felt muscles burning and everything else immediately on the first treatment. But for me, it took a few treatments, a few days, and I was seeing him every other day. But within the first 2 to 3 treatments, I felt significant improvement in my back and was sleeping better and waking up without pain. Because that was my big thing, was I would wake up in the morning and couldn't hardly get out of bed because it hurt so bad.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the pain?
I was at the point before I found Ryan that I had felt like life wasn't worth living. It hurt so bad for so long. It was just ridiculous that I couldn't do anything. I have 2 young boys that love to water ski and wakeboard, and I used to do it the same, and I couldn't even take them out on the boat because driving the boat hurt so bad. So I was at the point where I was so miserable, I felt like if this is the way life's going to be, it's not even worth living. And so I knew something had to be done, but I wasn't ready for surgery. So,
how many times were you told you're going to have surgery? You're going to have back surgery to fix this problem and get rid of your pain?
I had seen 2 different back doctors, surgeons, and both of them said that was the only fix.
They said there's no other way to resolve this pain other than cutting into your spine. What were they going to do? Remove the herniated disc? Did you have MRIs that showed?
I did, yes.
And they showed a herniated disc?
Yes, absolutely. Showed a herniated disc and another disc with a cut in it. One of the suggestions was this new procedure that wasn't as intrusive as he put it, that basically they take a rod and go up through your pelvic bone and through your spine and fuse through a rod all of your vertebrae together, pulling them apart the appropriate portions so that the disc wouldn't have any pressures on it. He said that wasn't very intrusive. Having a rod shoved up that region seemed pretty intrusive to me.
You know, this is very alarming. I mean, there's a place for surgery, but it's certainly not the front line. It should be the absolute last resort. And for you, after years of suffering from pain on a scale of 1 to 10, it sounds like you would rate it a 10. Life wasn't worth living? Would you rate it a 10? What would you rate it?
You know, a 10 would be I couldn't function, and I was forcing myself to function during the day, but it was definitely miserable. It was a good solid 8 for sure.
A good solid 8. To the point where you woke up in the morning and you had to look at another day of excruciating pain all day long, being tough, being a table-pounding business owner who makes things happen, you had to get up, you had to run the show because you are the man. You run your own business.
I had to. I mean, there's no choice.
But did you notice it had an effect on your irritability and your
Oh, absolutely.
get-along ability?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You were pretty tough to deal with sometimes.
It definitely was. When you're miserable, it shows, it reflects on everyone.
Has your family noticed a new Tracy,
Yeah,
or the
definitely.
old Tracy back?
This summer, I was wakeboarding with my boys. I wasn't just driving the boat, but I was actually on the board behind the boat, jumping the wake and everything else. I feel that much better.
So tell us the first experience. On a scale of 1 to 10, you were at least an 8 back then. And now, what are you on the scale of pain?
I wake up most mornings without any pain at all.
And no surgery, no drugs.
No surgery, no drugs. Occasionally, if I start feeling things tense a little bit, I go back and get back on the chair for a while and retrain my body, because if you don't continue to do the different methods with this and continue to work forward with it, your body is going to lose it again, just like it lost it in the first place.
So when you drive a car, you press on the gas, you press on the brakes with your right foot, correct? So you're doing all these things with the right foot and causing a certain repetitive motion that puts patterns into your body neurologically. And would you say that the machine helped you retrain and oppose those patterns and realign your pelvis? Is that what you're saying happened?
It absolutely has. I was at the point where prior to this treatment, my left hip, I could just physically pop it completely out of joint. My whole hip would be...
Which joint? Are you talking about the SI joint?
I'm not in the medical field. I don't know what joint, but I can tell you my hip and my leg bone here, I could pop it completely out of joint. Just standing there, just shift and almost like double jointed. But I wasn't double jointed there. So
and that was what Ryan Haruska found was the cause. Your physical therapist found this is the cause and put you through a series of protocols with the Zone Restorator for you to be educated how to realign your hips, which hold up the entire spine. So the other doctors had misidentified the problem as being a lumbar disc problem, when in fact the lumbar discs were held in place by the hips, correct?
Well, again, I know nothing about, I'm not in the medical field whatsoever, but in layman's terms, the way it was explained to me was my hips were so crooked and so out of line that what this machine did for me was retrain my muscles and tendons to tighten to square everything back up. And by squaring up at my hips, my back pain went away.
But did you feel that you were on a more stable foundation and platform once you aligned your hips?
Absolutely, I do every day. That was one of the things that I had felt back when I was having the pain, is there were times I'd be standing there and I felt like I was going to fall over. It just, my equilibrium even seemed to go, and I mean there were times that my back would feel like, like it just couldn't support me. My lower back feel like it couldn't support me.
So how often do you go back to retrain or maintain this new stability and strength to the muscles that pull on the ligaments and tendons and hold things in place? Now that you've got that new stability, do you feel physically stronger?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. More stable, stronger. I can lift and carry things that I couldn't before. I feel a million times better.
And how often do you go back to maintain this? Is this like exercise, isolated, specific exercise to keep things in a line? Or
what I try to do is I try to incorporate in my everyday life, the way I sit, the way I stand, the way I walk, the way I climb in my vehicle. When I'm driving, trying to do some exercises with my legs, with my left leg and hip. while I'm sitting there driving and things like that. So I'm trying to incorporate a little bit of it into everyday life. You know, it's important to get on the machine and get squared up and do it there as opposed to in the driver's seat of your car or anything like that.
If you're building a building, you have to have square construction. That's why the mason's tool is a square. And you have to have things properly aligned or the structural stability to the building is not going to be there. You're going to have imbalances creep in. And I talked to the world record holder in terms of weight curled and lifted above his head in 1 hour. And he told me the reason he beats people regularly, twice his size, is because he has the proper architecture that's perfectly aligned. And so he has this stamina that comes in. So but how often do you go back and repeat the procedures? Do you go back once a week, once a month? Or do you do these procedures now that you've been aligned? Are these things that you do, that you're able to do in your home, or do you regularly go back to on the Zone Respirator machine? And the machine, as I understand it, doesn't work on you. You work on it.
That's correct. The machine doesn't really do anything other than align you and then train your muscles to work in a manner to pull you back into line.
But it's
yourself.
You pressing against the machine.
It's you turning on sensors by using certain muscle groups. It's you turning on sensors and then holding them positions that is actually realigning you, as opposed to the machine. The machine does not force you into any position whatsoever. To use the machine properly, it requires you to force yourself into that position.
Were you guided by your physical therapist how to learn these patterns and tools, how to position?
I would have never known.
And the machine has lights on it that guide you when you are pushing in the right place. A light will come on and say yes, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then you would hold that position for a certain period of time.
Sure. Yeah.
So, from the standpoint of once you learned how to position yourself on the machine, and the machine didn't position you, you positioned yourself. Did you experience any pain on these procedures that you did on the machine?
I didn't experience pain early on. Burning in the muscles. It's not pain. It's turning on your muscles.
It's putting you in a certain position.
It's making your muscles work. You know, for the good.
Were these muscles that hadn't worked in a long time? Did you have any?
I would imagine with the burning that came with it, these muscles hadn't been used.
So it was more like being forced to isolate specific muscles that you hadn't been using, that had atrophied, and when you use them, you had kind of an exercise burn, like
exactly. That's yeah.
But if I understand what you're saying, you were in complete control of any tension on the machine. You could stop at any moment immediately.
Absolutely.
If it became uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Right?
Again, the machine is not putting you in any position. It is you're sitting in the machine in a comfortable sitting position, and then to turn on certain lights, it's requiring you to use certain muscle groups you wouldn't use. If you stop using your muscles, the lights turn off and you move on from there.
So it's like sitting in a chair, basically. If you cross your legs or uncross your legs, you're in complete control when you're on this device. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And so you're not at the mercy of anybody forcing you to do anything that could cause pain when you've been in excruciating pain to the point which, you know, this is a very pregnant moment when you said that life wasn't worth living, because there have been many people that have killed themselves because they couldn't exist anymore. There are people who have pain so bad they couldn't help put chairs away at church after an event, for example, and people would think, oh, they're just lazy people. There are guys who got addicted to painkillers, and then they can't. The painkillers have their own long-term ramifications on overall health because they couldn't get out of bed without some kind of painkiller. Did you take painkillers?
I did not. That was one thing I stayed away from. My feeling on painkillers is it does just that. It masks the pain. It doesn't fix the problem.
Some people liken it to taking the batteries out of the alarm while the fire rages.
Exactly.
It's an alarm telling you something's wrong. Now, your pain or discomfort was a guide that you're out of alignment. And when you got on the Zone Respirator, did you feel the pain go away over a period of time as a guide that, yes, you're getting back into alignment?
Almost immediately, that the sharp pains, the bad pains I had within the first week, I noticed the majority. And then it was some little aching and things like that as time went on, as you continue to use the machine. But the pain, it went from I described it as an 8 to a 3 within the first week, and then from the 3 to darn near a 0, over the next month.
Now, there's a place for surgery, but there are many of these rods that have been put in people's backs, the Harrison rod for scoliotic patients, for example. And they break, or they rust, they're corrosion when they've removed them. And there's actually lawsuits now going on with hip replacement metal, etc., in which they've documented metal leaching into the body, heavy metal poisoning, basically. So, there's a place for procedures like that, but it is the absolute last resort, and the best surgeons will tell you this. Because once you start fusing the spine is an engine. It's all connected, and when you start fusing and restricting motion, you're putting so much more pressure on the other disc that they begin to degenerate. But some people, there are so many people that have had spinal surgery who've been told that it's the only result, because the doctor's ignorance of this treatment protocol has exposed their patients to the horrendous risks for infections caught during surgery. Their quality of life often goes down, doesn't improve. When you start fusing the spine, the reports are clear that often the quality of life goes down. And if your surgery is guided by MRI, often what they think the herniated disc is the source of the pain. They point it out to you on a screen, a herniated disc, right? They said, this is the source of your pain, and we have to fix this herniated disc. Is that correct?
That is exactly what they said.
Your MRI would probably still show that same herniated disc, would it not?
I would imagine. We haven't done anything to treat a herniated disc.
But if I understand you correctly, your pain's gone.
My pain is gone.
Wow. Well, Mr. Stone, thank you so much for your time. This is very exciting. Would you recommend this procedure to anyone?
Absolutely. I have recommended this procedure already to several friends and family members that have the same lower back pain.
Is this something that you can do yourself now at this point? Can you get yourself on the Zone Respirator and treat yourself without anyone needing to tell you
Absolutely.
What to do?
Yeah, it's very, very, very easy to do. After the first couple of treatments, you know what to do on your own.
It's an exercise. Basically, all it is guided exercise.
Absolutely.
And once you learn how to position your body on this device and use specific muscles, you know that if you're driving for long ways and you're only using one foot and one hand, you're torquing your pelvis in a manner that's creating an imbalance, much like a mother holding a baby in one arm, while she does her housework with the other arm. We create these imbalances in the body. So the Zone Respirator allowed you to correct these imbalances and have proper stability and to your body. Would you say that's a fair?
Absolutely.
A fair report.
Absolutely.
So this summer, did you wakeboard with the kids?
I did, yeah. I did. We had a lot of fun.
Leaping and jumping?
Absolutely. I can't do the flips anymore like I used to when I was younger, but yeah, it's
oh, I can do those flips.
And here in a couple months we're going snowboarding in Colorado. So.
It's not the flips that matter. It's how you land.
How you land the flips. That is true.
The last time I was in Tahoe, the people on the chairlift watching me have my horrific accident said they called it a yard sale because everything on me spread out all over the yard. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me just make a few things clear here. You were treated with a series of protocols, and you had no financial incentive other than healing your body. on this
Absolutely.
on this device.
Absolutely.
You speak from your heart. If someone was in pain, it was your own brother, your own father, your own family, you would tell them to do what you've done.
Absolutely, I have told them.
Yeah. Thank you very much.